Right now on Morning News Now, former President Trump's historic hush money trial enters its fourth week here in Manhattan. Trump balancing the campaign trail and the courtroom as he faces 34 felony counts in the first ever criminal trial of an ex-U.S. president. We'll tell you what we're watching for this week. Dim outlook. The latest round of talks between Hamas and Israel have stalled, but not completely collapsed. But no deal in sight. Israel urging civilians in part of Rafah this morning to evacuate as Israeli leaders vow to push forward with their military operation, deal or no deal. Plus, a massive cleanup is underway this morning in parts of Texas after a weekend of deadly storms and severe flooding. The latest on cleanup efforts and how long that flooding is expected to last. And it's fashion's biggest night out. Stars are preparing to hit the red carpet at the Met Gala tonight in all their extravagant looks. We have got your preview. The fun theme, the Garden of Time, I think it's called, which is kind of interesting to see how they interpret that.
Yeah, I mean, I expect lots of flowers and then lots of surprises. I drive by it every morning, so it's always fun to see the fortress built around the Met.
It's so cool. That big
as I
tent
get ready
out there
for tonight,
and
then tomorrow I'll just see vacuuming.
Yeah.
Good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your week with us. We're going to begin this morning here in New York, where former President Donald Trump is headed back to court to resume his hush money criminal trial.
It's unclear who the prosecution will call as its next witness. Whoever it is going to follow last week's emotional testimony from someone who was once a top aide for Trump, Hope Hicks. She testified for nearly 3 hours about the 2016 presidential campaign, including the firestorm around the release of the now infamous Access Hollywood tape. Trump is facing 34 felony counts. He's accused of falsifying business records to hide hush money payments to Stormy Daniels in 2016. He's denied any wrongdoing in this case. NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Masugian is outside the courtroom this morning with the latest, and NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos joins us now to break it all down. Yasmin, let's start with you. What can we expect in the courtroom today? Any idea who's going to testify?
Not really. You said it, Joe. We don't necessarily know who's going to be testifying today. We can take some educated guesses, though. So in the lead up, the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks or so, because this is the beginning of week 4, by the way, as a reminder, when we started this thing out, we expected the trial to last about 4 to 6 weeks. It looking like it's going to extend certainly beyond 4 weeks. Who knows how much longer it'll take. But again, it was the establishment more of a timeline between Keith Davidson, between Hope Hicks, Rona Graff as well, and David Pecker. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of what this case is all about, which is falsifying business records. The expectation is witnesses to take the stand will help build the case for falsifying business records for the prosecution. Remember, some outstanding witnesses that are going to be major witnesses in this case. Stormy Daniels, also known as Stephanie Clifford, who alleged to have had a one-night stand back in 2006 and was subsequently paid off $130,000 by Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen himself, who has been key to this entire trial, his name brought up thousands of times really at this point. And Madeleine Westerhout, who was the former president's secretary inside the Oval Office, an individual who may very well have walked those 9 checks over to the former president to be signed and then sent to Michael Cohen to reimburse him for some of those payments. Some of those witnesses to look out for, but expect this week to be really about establishing the falsifying of business records. And again, we are awaiting also a judgment when it comes to whether or not the former president violated those gag orders for potential violations. We have not gotten a decision on that. Expect that sometime this week, Joe.
Danny, let's bring you in here. So as Yasmin just mentioned, haven't heard from Michael Cohen, haven't heard from Stormy Daniels, some of these big names. Do you think they're sort of saving them for last? What is the strategy here?
When it comes to Stormy Daniels, I'm not 100% sure the prosecution even really needs Stormy Daniels at this point. I definitely don't think they need Karen McDougal. So if they call those 2 people, I think that tells us a lot about the prosecution, that they want a splashy witness, one that's a marquee name, and one that really will not paint Trump in a flattering light. But at the same time, I think Stormy Daniels represents a lot of risk for the prosecution as well. I don't know that she can be controlled that well in terms of asking her questions evidence. She has definitely been out speaking, maybe not as much as Michael Cohen, but if they may call her, they may not. Michael Cohen obviously is the one most anticipated, but he may not be the star in the sense that the prosecution has worked very hard to get the evidence that they need to corroborate Michael Cohen's story from other witnesses, so that when he finally takes the stand, his checkered past may not be the damage to the prosecution that the defense hopes it is.
All right, so looking back, Yasmin, we heard emotional testimony from former top Trump aide Hope Hicks on Friday. Just what was the major headline from her testimony?
Yeah, just to follow up quickly, Joe, if I can, on what Danny just said also, we're finding out the star witness really for the prosecution is the documents, more so than anything else. That's what they want the jury really to rely on, the documents that kind of build and tell the story. So how do we get here, essentially, right? We ended Friday on Hope Hicks. That was a major, major testimony, an emotional moment from Hope Hicks as she broke down, recounting when the former president told her essentially to deny that he had a one-night stand with Stormy Daniels because he was concerned for Melania Trump, along with his family as well. At that moment, she broke down, was able to gather herself and then continue her testimony in cross-examination. She helped build that timeline, and she certainly helped build a case of intent, right? And I say that because she painted a picture of an individual, of a man, of the candidate for the next president of the United States, former President Donald Trump in 2016, desperate to win an election in the final weeks running up to November, and painting a picture of the release of the Access Hollywood tape, email exchanges happening back and forth as to how to respond to the Access Hollywood tape, then how to respond to these stories that were emerging about both Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. She was certainly an incredibly strong witness for the prosecution, a credible witness for the prosecution, but also, guys, I will say, a credible and strong witness for the defense as well, painting the former president as a family man, someone who was concerned for Melania Trump, his wife, concerned for his family, not wanting to embarrass his family, and wanting to win this election.
Danny, let's come back to you now. What kind of impact do you think that could have on the jury, what they heard from Hope Hicks?
Yeah, Yasmin gave a great summary of Hope Hicks' testimony, and I think it was important for the prosecution, but I don't think it was as devastating as I heard other folks take Hope Hicks' testimony. I think it was obviously good for the prosecution. They never would have called her if not, and it does tend to show that Trump may have been more concerned about the campaign than he was about, say, his family or Melania when these stories surfaced. But at the same time, there was stuff for the defense in Hope Hicks' testimony. I mean, she painted her employer as a generally good employer. We've seen that as a theme. She painted Michael Cohen as kind of this bumbling wannabe Mr. Fix-It who broke things and then had to fix them, and even painted him as rogue. And I want to point out that word rogue, I believe, will be a central theme of the defense. I expect you will hear that word again in their closing argument when they stand up to argue their case.
All right, Danny and Yasmin, thank you both so much for kicking us off this hour.
Well, yesterday marked the official 6-month countdown to the presidential election, and it's time to start talking running mates. So we're learning more about who's in the mix to potentially become former President Trump this fall.
While that competition heats up, we're also hearing for the first time from the new Republican Party chairman in an exclusive interview. NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns has the latest.
Former President Donald Trump appearing at the Formula One race in Miami. And with 6 months to go in the race for president, there's another race heating up to become his running mate. Possible Veep Stakes contenders converging this weekend at a donors conference in Mar-a-Lago. At least 7 contenders on the shortlist, according to Trump World sources. Senator Marco Rubio and Governor Doug Burgum seeing their stock rising, Governor Kristi Noem seeing hers falling, and Trump praising them and the other prospects in his speech on Saturday.
Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you could ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
Newly installed Republican Party Chairman Michael Whatley addressing that issue and a so-called litmus test for RNC employees in his first network interview.
The RNC has been accused of creating a sort of litmus test for employees or potential hires around denying the results of the 2024 election. Is there any truth to that?
The only litmus test that I have is whether or not you support our Republican candidates.
The RNC says it's recruiting 100,000 lawyers and volunteers to monitor voting and has filed more than 80 lawsuits as part of what they call their election integrity program.
What do you say to critics who argue that these lawsuits are just sort of paving the way for former President Trump to claim the election was stolen in 2024 if President Biden wins?
They're absolutely not. Look, we're trying to do through these lawsuits is get states to implement common sense election integrity programs that has nothing to do with voter suppression.
Another priority for Whatley, uniting the party after a bitter primary and a push to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson.
We need to make sure that all of the Republicans understand the gravity of this election cycle, and they do, and we need to make sure that we are on the same page as we're moving forward.
Thanks to Dasha Burns for that report. The 2024 Republican National Convention will get underway just over 2 months from now, July 15th in Milwaukee.
NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen joins us for more on this topic and the race for the White House. John, good morning. Great to have you with us as always. So let's start with what we just heard in Dasha's piece about these potential former running mates for former President Trump. VP hopefuls that spent the weekend at Mar-a-Lago for this fundraising retreat, and a source familiar with the matter says that the Trump team has started doing this deep dive on the candidates. What should we know about the process so far, and tell us more about some of those names involved?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. It's like Celebrity Political Apprentice going down in Mar-a-Lago right now. In terms of the process, it is not like other vice presidential processes in that, ultimately Donald Trump's going to make a decision whether or not it's somebody on his list, whether it's somebody on his short list, whether it's somebody on nobody's list. And so, I mean, which has characterized how Trump has operated for a long time. All of that said, there's between 15 to 17 people that have been identified as potential vice presidential candidates. And as you alluded to, they are starting to do some of the research. His team is doing some of the research into who these folks are. But the standards may be a little bit different for this set than for others in that, what the metrics are may be different.
Yeah, I mean, different from maybe a conventional VP search, but also could it be different from when he selected then Indiana Governor Mike Pence in 2016? And also, do they feel a sense of urgency right now, or do they feel like they have some time?
Absolutely could be different, probably will be different than how he selected Mike Pence back in 2016. Pence was a kind of last-minute call. There were others, including Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, that were sort of there at the end. Pence was somebody that Trump sat down with right at the end and became convinced that he would be the better vice presidential choice. Obviously, as we know, they were very close to each other during Trump's presidency, and then had a major split when Trump's supporters went to the Capitol and chanted "Hang Mike Pence" and looked for Mike Pence inside the Capitol. Since then, they have not, understandably reconciled. So, yeah, we'll have to see exactly how he makes this decision, but I suspect he will be informed by the experience of Mike Pence.
And John, now that we're a little bit into this process, how is this going for the former president that he's spending so much time here in New York in court for his hush money criminal trial versus on the campaign trail, even though we've seen him kind of use some of those moments as kind of campaign events? What's it looking like?
Yeah, at some level, I think this may be overblown by the Trump campaign itself. If you were normally in this point in the process, having wrapped up effectively the delegates that you need for the nomination and not yet really into that stretch fund for the general election, you wouldn't see a presidential nominee doing a ton of events, a ton of sort of big, big attention events. But Donald Trump has a big attention event almost every day in New York in terms of the trial, so he's able to dominate news coverage that way. And then we've seen him traveling on the Wednesdays, usually court's out on Wednesday, travels on Wednesday. He's going to be doing fundraising. He's going to be doing political events in swing states. And he's going to be saying while he's there that he'd be doing more, if only not for being in New York. I'm not sure how true that actually is. It probably costs him one event a week rather than, every day that he's in New York.
All right, John Allen, always great to have you. Thank you so much.
Overnight, Israeli Defense Forces began dropping leaflets on eastern Rafah. They're warning tens of thousands of civilians in the southern part of the Gaza Strip to begin evacuating ahead of a possible invasion. This as ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas are at a crossroads with the world watching. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez is in Tel Aviv and joins us now. So, Raf, what's the latest on the ground there?
Joe, good morning. Israeli forces dropping leaflets from aircraft, sending text messages, putting out messages on social media in Arabic, all with a stark warning to these residents in eastern Rafah: get out. We are about to attack the area. The IDF estimates there are around 100,000 people living in that area in between the city of Rafah and the Gaza border, and they are telling them to head north and west to an area called Al-Mawasi, which the Israeli military says is a safe zone. Now, this is part, it appears, of Israel's long-threatened operation in the city of Rafah to destroy the remaining Hamas battalions there, something Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened many, many times. It is worth noting, guys, at this point, Israeli forces do not appear to have crossed over into Gaza and appear to be heading into Rafah. I spoke to an Israeli official earlier today. They said at this point there is no firm timeline for when that Israeli ground offensive would begin. They would need, first of all, an order from the Israeli government to send the troops in, and two, they are monitoring to see how long it takes for those Palestinian civilians to evacuate from eastern Rafah. But the U.S., the UN, humanitarian groups have consistently warned that an Israeli ground attack on Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinian civilians are sheltering, has the potential to be a disaster, not just in terms of loss of innocent life, but also disrupting the flow of humanitarian aid. And of course, this all comes amid these ceasefire negotiations. So it is possible, guys, that this maneuvering on the ground inside Gaza may be an Israeli tactic to try to put more pressure, not just on Hamas, but also on the U.S. and on Egypt to try to get this deal over the line. Guys.
And Raf, we're hearing CIA Director William Burns is in the region in this last-ditch effort to try to save those ceasefire negotiations you just referenced. What do we know about that meeting and the latest on negotiations?
Yeah, Savannah, the CIA director has been crisscrossing the Middle East for a couple of days now. He started his trip in Egypt, where these negotiations have been taking place. He flew to Qatar, and he is here in Israel today. We expect him to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later on, and he is really trying to salvage these talks, which have not fully collapsed, according to an Israeli official, but are not in a good place. There did seem to be some progress towards the end of last week at these negotiations in Cairo, but the two sides now deadlocked on what has been a familiar problem. Hamas says any ceasefire deal has to lead to an end to the war. Israel is saying it will only agree to a temporary ceasefire and that it is determined to go into Rafah before or after a hostage deal. Now, there were major protests here in Tel Aviv over the weekend. Families of the hostages telling Prime Minister Netanyahu, do what it takes to get a deal. But the CIA director, other mediators at this point, doing what they can to keep these talks from falling apart. Guys.
Raf, quickly, I want to ask you about the so-called humanitarian zone. What can you tell us about what it's like in these areas that people are being evacuated to?
Yeah, Joe, so this is an area called Al-Mawasi. It's on the Mediterranean coast of Gaza. It is largely a beachfront. The IDF has expanded the area somewhat, so there's some of the city of Han Yunis included also. Israel is saying that there is food, there is medicine, there is aid there, that it is somewhere people can go. I asked the Israeli military earlier, can you guarantee that you will not attack in that zone? They said that zone will be safer, but they reserve the right to strike if Hamas operates out of it. Guys.
Okay, Raf, thank you so much.
Well, college students across the country continue to clash with police throughout the weekend in pro-Palestinian demonstrations, and those are colliding with graduation season. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus has the latest.
Colleges nationwide grappling with ongoing demonstrations. Before sunrise at the University of Southern California, officers cleared this encampment. Protesters left willingly. No one was arrested.
Free, free, free Palestine.
The pro-Palestinian demonstrators calling for a ceasefire and for the school to divest from Israel. University officials say they called in police about 12 hours after warning the encampment was a violation of, quote, policies and the law, and that protesters could face arrest.
And when the students were cleared by LAPD from the center of campus, they shut down this main street. And they also chanted, they do not care, they will be back.
At the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, police clashed with demonstrators as they tried to take down an encampment. The school says at least 25 were arrested for trespassing. And it's not just schools. At the Art Institute of Chicago, 68 were arrested and charged with trespassing. Now, school administrators coast to coast trying to determine whether or not to change graduation plans. We will not, we will not rest. In Ann Arbor, nearly 75 protesters interrupted the beginning of commencement at the University of Michigan. Demonstrators chanting before being moved.
They have the right to protest. A lot of these people, you know, their senior year of high school, their graduation was during COVID, so they already had that ruined, and then now you got this going on.
Some universities like USC have canceled their main graduation ceremony, while others have increased their security measures. Early Sunday morning, protesters at USC left peacefully, some reluctant, but not without making some noise.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much.
Severe storms in Oklahoma and Texas that brought torrential rain over the weekend left a 4-year-old boy dead and millions under flood watch. One spot north of Houston got pounded by 23 inches of rain over the past week. Rescue crews spent the weekend battling rising floodwaters.
County officials tell us more than 500 people have been rescued so far. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins us now from Humble, Texas with the latest on this. Priscilla, good morning. So the amount of water that has hit the state of Texas is just staggering. I mean, Joe just laid out the inches. Give us a sense of just how bad it is out there.
Yeah, Savannah, Joe, good morning. There were some folks who saw more than 2 feet of water. And here where we are, you can see the kinds of scenes that people are waking up to this morning. This roadway just still entirely covered by water. There's a flood gauge back there that you may not be able to see, but it's reading at just under 6 inches, at around 4 inches. And I will tell you, when we were out here yesterday, it was more than a foot. It was about 1.5 feet yesterday. So the water is receding significantly, which is very good news as folks are trying to get back into their homes today. But it comes after a weekend of just relentless rain where we saw those waters continuing to rise. As you mentioned, county officials across the Houston area reporting more than 500 rescues and evacuations, helping people who were in life-threatening situations and also people who just stayed in their homes until the water began to rise to a level that was just simply too high for them to leave on their own. And we also learned that tragically there was a 4-year-old boy who died near Dallas. Police say that his family was driving through some of that high water and they got stuck, at which point they attempted to walk out. And unfortunately, that 4-year-old boy was swept away and his body was found later. So certainly a lot of tragedy here as folks are trying to get back into their homes to begin to survey that damage. Joe, Savannah?
Just heartbreaking news for that community and that family. I know, Priscilla, the flood watches in many of the hardest hit areas have expired, but that doesn't mean they're out of the woods yet, right?
That's right, because there are a number of major rivers here that also got a lot of water. Some of those rivers, most of them have already crested, but there is still the possibility for major river flooding over the next several days. So some of these communities may see this water go back up again. And that's what officials are worried about, that people will see that it's not raining, that it's a sunny day, and they'll attempt to drive through this water to get to their homes, not knowing that the water has risen and that could lead to even more rescues over the next several days as we try to get through all of this and get things back to normal here.
So, Priscilla, give us some reminders about how people can stay safe. What do authorities want residents to know?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to heed the warnings. A lot of folks will get warnings to their smartphones. They'll be put out by local officials, and heed whatever that warning is. Right now, there's no evacuation order in place, so people can certainly be in their homes. But the big thing that we hear from officials is that if you see deep water, water that you can't see through, if you can't see that line in the road, turn around, don't drown. And that is the big concern here as we wait for this water to continue to go down. Joe, Savannah?
All right, Priscilla Thompson, thank you so much.
Well, more severe weather is expected in the upcoming days across the plains.
Joining us now, meteorologist Michelle Grossman. She's tracking it all for us. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's going to be another tough couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, especially today. We're looking at the potential for another severe weather outbreak in the same spots that we saw last week. We're looking at the chance for long tracking tornadoes, winds over 80 miles per hour, and golf ball size hail, if not a little bit larger, up to softball size hail, so damaging hail as well. Back to the west, we are looking at cooler air working and also another powerful system system moving on shore. That's going to bring us some rain in the Pacific Northwest, the Intermountain West, but really heavy snow in the upper elevations of the mountains. Then as we head east, we're unsettled here too, because we're looking at the chance for some showers, even pockets of heavier rain in the mid-Atlantic into the southeast. Also some rain throughout the Ohio Valley and also the Tennessee Valley. So a lot going on this Monday. Taking a look at satellite radar, you can see that rain falling right now throughout the Tennessee Valley. We saw lightning earlier this morning. That's starting to dissipate at this hour. Back to the west, you see that snow falling, spring snow. That is in the blue, the rain falling as well. But it's the middle of the country where we're going to start to see those storms fire up with the daytime heating into this evening and the overnight hours once again. 15 million people at risk. We have a moderate risk, and that is in the red here. So Wichita, Oklahoma City, Wichita Falls, but anywhere within the yellow, the orange, the red, even the green could see strong to severe storms. I mentioned that giant softball-sized hail, long tracking tornadoes, the potential for strong tornadoes, and the potential for an outbreak as well. Damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. That's hurricane force winds. That's going to bring down power lines, also trees, creating power outages. With any of these storms, we are looking at heavy rain, so possibly hour rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. We're looking at the blue there, the darker blue, Kansas City, Tulsa, Des Moines, where we could see some really heavy rain, and we have the potential for seeing some flash flooding. This is why. Look at all these colors on our rainfall forecast. Where you see those darker colors, the reds, especially the oranges as well, and the yellows, we are looking at the potential of over 3 inches. We're continuing to watch the Texas rivers, where we're seeing moderate to major flooding. All those little dots there indicate the gauges that we're registering the water levels, and we are looking at quite a few at moderate and major. So that's something we're going to watch over the next few days with that rain coming. And then, guys, this number grows to 21 million people on Tuesday and then up to 40+ million on Wednesday. So this is going to be another weather-aware, tough couple of days in the world of weather.
Another busy week ahead.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Coming up, a tragic ending in the search for 3 missing surfers in Mexico. Authorities confirming that bodies found last week in the Mexican state of Baja California have been identified as those of the missing tourists. We're going to have the latest on the investigation.
And get ready for all the fierce fashion. We're just hours away from the Met Gala, and we're taking you inside this year's theme, the Garden of Time. That's coming up.
Mexican authorities say that 3 tourists who went missing while surfing in Mexico were the apparent victims of an attempted carjacking gone wrong. One of those victims was an American. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra has the details.
New details on what Mexican officials are calling a robbery gone out of hand, just over a week after 3 tourists vanished on a surfing trip to Mexico. The local attorney general saying this appears to be an attempted carjacking gone wrong, and there were signs the men tried to fight back and met a violent end. The medical examiner's office in Ensenada saying the cause of death for the bodies found, gunshot wounds to the head. Mexican investigators seen combing through evidence, finding blood, bullet casings, and drag marks near the men's campground and a white pickup truck badly burned. Police have arrested at least 3 people, including a woman who was found with what appears to be a cell phone belonging to one of the men. But police believe there may be others who were also involved.
It's tragic, very tragic.
James knew Callum Robinson.
Callum was a good guy, surfer. I knew he played rugby, and he's from Australia.
Callum and his brother Jake, both from Australia, love to surf, bringing their friend, American Jack Carter Rowe, to Ensenada, a known surfer haven within the Mexican state of Baja California. Marissa Parra, NBC News.
Let's get you other headlines from around the world this morning. China's president has arrived in Europe for his first visit in 5 years.
NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joined us from Rome with that and other international news. Claudio, good morning.
Joseph, and a good morning. That's right. China's President Xi Jinping arrived or landed in Paris last night ahead of his European trip. Now, the Chinese leader will also visit Serbia and Hungary on the visit in hopes to rebuild and strengthen relations with European leaders. But his visit has already seen protests from human rights groups. Over to Indonesia, where flooding has left at least 14 people dead on the island of Sulawesi. Now, days' worth of torrential downpours led to floods up to 10 feet high and triggered a landslide where over 1,000 houses were impacted in one district. And let's end this tour of the world in Brazil, where Madonna put on a free concert at Rio's famous Copacabana beach. It was the grand finale to her month-long celebration tour. At one point, an incredible 1.6 million fans were estimated to have attended the show. The tour celebrated the singer's 40 years in music, and as she always does, she did it in style. Back to you guys.
Okay, I saw that show twice while it was in New York, but there were not 1.6 million people there.
And it was not free.
And it was not free, no. Claudia, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Coming up, bugging out, billions of cicadas are set to swarm across the Midwest and the Southeast.
We're talking to an expert about this rare event and why you should actually be watching out for your pets. You're watching Morning News Now. Welcome back. Spring has finally sprung, and soon, depending where you are, so will all the cicadas.
Yeah, kind of like all of them. That is exactly right.
Over the next month, billions and billions of the winged insects are set to swarm across the Midwest and the Southeast.
Yeah, the emergence of so many of these noisy, creepy, crawly bugs, it's all part of a rare, synchronized event that actually hasn't happened in more than 200 years. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park has more on the species making its presence heard.
Cicada-geddon has finally arrived, and these pesky critters are not flying quietly under the radar.
There are thousands.
Instead, they're causing a stir everywhere they land.
Don't get too creeped out by them. She gets creeped out by them.
From Georgia,
the 13-year cicadas are in,
to South Carolina.
Is anybody else in the South?
Where they're taking over backyards.
They're everywhere, and they seem to really like our gazebo. I'm not sure why.
It might seem bad now, but just wait. 2 cicada broods will be spotted in more than a dozen states this spring, swarming the Midwest to the south. One group crawls out from the ground every 13 years, the other 17 years. This month, we're expecting a rare double emergence, something we haven't seen since the days of Thomas Jefferson. Experts predict more than 1 trillion bugs to emerge. Lined end to end, that's enough cicadas to reach the moon and back 33 times. Roughly 75 miles outside of Nashville, McMinnville is known as a nursery capital of the world.
Here we've got really a target-rich environment for them to try to lay their eggs.
Yeah. And these young trees are vulnerable to damage from nesting cicadas. Jerry Blankenship grows 200,000 trees at his nursery, and these bugs keep him up at night.
They really like something about this size right here. Most of the time they go for something that's relatively soft, but they're looking for a certain size twig or branch to lay their eggs on.
Homeowners may want to consider netting as a way to protect the branches.
You can get cheesecloth or tobacco cloth. Like I said, you could actually have a sheet and lay it over it.
But as they stick around for the next 4 to 6 weeks, don't expect the cicadas to turn down the volume as the males use their siren song to find a mate.
So the males are making the noise, and it's a little bitty buzz. You can hear them. It's like a kid's toy almost.
But their collective chorus can be as loud as a lawnmower or passing jet.
The noise level could potentially be harmful. It can exceed levels that OSHA would consider, safe in some areas.
It's already getting so loud in Newberry County, South Carolina, residents are reporting the noise to the sheriff.
We had a leap year, we had an eclipse, now we've got cicadas everywhere.
They might be a nuisance, but they're harmless to humans and pets.
They're crawling all over. Does that scare you?
A little, and it tickles.
Soon, many states will be blanketed with bugs, so get ready for the free concert from your new neighbors.
Kathy Park, thank you. And I have to say, yesterday, Kathy did that report for Sunday Today. She concluded with a leaf blower, which she said you can just use to clear them all out if you need to. So
let's see what
Dr.
Gene Kritsky thinks of that. He's Professor Emeritus of Biology and a cicada expert. Dr. Kritsky, always great to have you with us. Good morning. So as we just heard Kathy mention, this month we are expecting this double emergence. So explain this to us. So there's some that come out every 13 years, others 17 years. Why and how does that phenomenon happen? And what can we expect to see during this time?
Well, we have there's 2 kinds of broods of periodical cicadas. One with a 17-year life cycle, the other has a 13-year life cycle. And what we're seeing right now emerging throughout the South are the 13-year cicadas from brood 19. and they've just started emerging this past few days in southern Illinois, and we have a good emergence going on in greater St. Louis. But the brood 13, the 17-year cicadas have not yet started. They probably won't start for another week or so yet. That'll be in central to northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, northwestern Indiana, and eastern Iowa.
So some pet owners might be worried about the impact this can have on our furry friends. So what should you do if your pet finds one or even happens to eat a cicada?
Well, eating a cicada will not harm them per se, but there is some concern for dogs in particular. And you know your pet. If your dog is one of these dogs that just won't stop eating, will gulp up everything they can find, that's a concern because it can lead to a bowel obstruction. But generally, one or two cicadas won't hurt them. In fact, I've had my cats enjoy cicadas many times over the last 34 years.
It's like Fancy Feast, the cicada version.
That's right. Funny. Doctor, how long are people going to be dealing with this noise and with these bugs? And if that noise is really bugging you, any tips on coping with it?
Well, for the southern states, they probably have another 4 weeks to go. For the brood 13, the 17-year cicadas in northern Illinois and Wisconsin, they haven't started yet. So they still have 6 weeks of cicada joy ahead of them.
Cicada joy, I love it. Thoughts on the leaf blower? Is that good?
Well, the leaf blower will blow them away, but some gas-powered motors actually sound like cicadas.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It results in more cicadas flying into the area. So
you may be the leaf blower.
Oh, and it like calls them all in. Does this give you joy? You just called it cicada joy. Do you like this?
Well, I've been studying cicadas now for 50 years. And I look forward to these events, and particularly this one in particular because there's going to be two broods emerging this year, which is a rare opportunity to study 13 and 17-year cicadas at the same time.
You're going to be busy.
Dr. Gene Kritsky, enjoy it. It sounds like it will bring you joy, which makes us happy. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Hashtag cicada joy.
Yeah, I like that. Coming up, Morning News Now is going high fashion ahead of tonight's highly anticipated Met Gala.
Yeah, we're previewing the star-studded lineup, the bold looks, and the Costume Institute's upcoming exhibition, all coming up after the break. Welcome back. Let's get to some financial headlines, starting with the week on Wall Street.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau joins us with that and all our money news. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. All right, let's get you some headlines. Let's start with Wall Street. It's set to open higher after the markets ended last week in the green, following that weaker than expected jobs report on Friday. Now, fewer jobs were added in April while unemployment rose, easing fears the economy is overheating and renewing hopes the Federal Reserve may start cutting interest rates soon. For the week, the Dow and the Nasdaq rising more than 1%, while the S&P was up 0.5%. In focus this week, we get data on the consumer and jobless claims plus earnings from Disney, Uber, Airbnb, Instacart, and Reddit. Warren Buffett holding court at Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting in Omaha this weekend. The billionaire investor fielding questions for several hours. Berkshire trimming its massive stake in Apple in the first quarter. Buffett says that was largely for tax reasons, and Apple will remain Berkshire's largest investment as it's one of the great companies of our time. Berkshire has nearly $200 billion in cash, but Buffett says he doesn't see anything compelling to invest in, saying they only take big swings. And YouTube is testing out AI to help you skip to the good part. 9 to 5 Google reports some YouTube Premium subscribers can now jump to the most watched part of a video, but only in the YouTube app. They can now double tap the right side of the screen, which normally skips ahead 10 seconds, then tap a jump ahead button that appears. YouTube Premium costs $13.99 a month, guys. So you got to pay up to get to the good part.
Or scroll? Can you do that? Is that it?
Probably.
I guess. Maybe it just, you don't know where the good part is.
Maybe
I don't know.
right.
All right, they do it for you.
Thanks, Savannah. Now to our series, Flipping the Script, featuring people on screen, on stage, and behind the scenes who are shining a spotlight on diversity. Enter Avantika, just 19 years old, the actress is making a name for herself while challenging stereotypes. 2024 is off to a huge start for her. Over the weekend, her movie Tarot hit theaters, beating box office projections. And earlier this year, she starred in a little movie you may have heard of, the remake of Mean Girls, playing a role first made famous by Amanda Seyfried.
Oh, that's how you use that. Slay, queens.
What has it meant to you to be part of the Mean Girls universe?
I mean, so much, like, it's so indescribably much. I grew up watching that film. It came out the year I was born, and so it's kind of like always been there, I guess. It's like, as someone who's brown and a woman of color, I guess we're not normally acknowledged in spaces that consider these specific women to be like unanimously beautiful and popular and glamorous, and so it felt really, really meaningful to kind of be acknowledged as such. And I guess it was refreshing also to play a bimbo and someone who was stupid, you know what I mean? Because that's
refreshing for you.
It is absolutely refreshing.
Why is that?
It's just not the narrative that's genuinely associated with South Asian people. And so I think when you want to break molds or are planning on doing that, you have to start somewhere.
When you are shattering ceilings and breaking stereotypes, there was backlash, I guess, that comes with it. I mean, racist comments. How did you handle that?
I've kind of always had the same perspective when dealing with any kind of racism online. It really does just kind of roll off of my back. My skin color is so intrinsic to who I am. There's nothing I can actually do about it, so there's no offense that I take or nothing that I can like really be offended about, because there's nothing I can change about it. Dance break.
When you worked with Tina Fey, you had to have this discussion about the name of the character in Mean Girls. Talk about that.
She had asked me, which I think was so kind and so sensitive of her, and she was like, Avantika, do you have any interest in changing the name of Karen? Just because I don't know if it's typical for a brown girl to be named Karen. She was like, do you want to do like Karina or Karen or something like that? And I was like, I think it's totally good. Like, I think it's kind of funny to have a brown girl named Karen, especially with all the like discourse now around someone being a Karen. And she was like, well, do you want to change the last name? And I was like, now that idea, like, I really, really like. I think it's like a subtle way to add my culture while also retaining like the original essence of who Karen was. And so we decided to change the last name to specifically a South Indian last name, which meant a lot for me and like my family.
Who's going first?
One of your next projects that you're promoting is a movie called Tarot, which seems very different from Mean Girls.
Yes, needless to say.
It's a horror movie.
100%.
What should we know about Tarot?
Tarot is so fun. I think it's kind of just like Final Destination with a little bit of astrology and tarot and horoscopes thrown in. I grew up really, really passionate about the occult, and my mom was a really big fan of like astrology and kind of all things in that space, so it was very exciting for me to be able to do this movie, considering horror is also one of my favorite genres.
Why do you like horror?
I honestly don't know, because I hate being scared. I hate being scared in real life. Like, that is the one place where I can't take a joke. Like, if somebody scares me, I'm like, I need a second, and I walk off, and I'm just like, I can't do it. But I love the adrenaline rush of like being in a horror movie and being scared like that. I'm very excited for it. It's like a super fun summer horror film, and I think it's really exciting that it's coming out in theaters, because I think you should see it on the big screen.
Our thanks to Avantika for that interview. One of her next projects, an adaptation of A Crown of Wishes. She's set to both star and produce, which excites her because she really also wants to get into producing. That's so important when it comes to diversity of folks behind the camera also involved in the process.
So true. Things like casting, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
What a neat story about the name in Mean Girls. I
know.
Not
It's
know that.
really cool that they had that conversation, and it was such an open conversation. I like that, too.
Absolutely. She seems like such a sweetheart. Thanks, John. Well, there's much more to come on Morning News Now.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Here's a question for you. How many tabs do you have open on your computer right now, on your internet browser? 15, maybe 25. I have a lot, probably in that like 25 range. Well, what about 7,000 470. I feel like there are two types of people. You're either like, yeah, or you're like, I have so much anxiety. A software engineer known only as Hazel says she collected her 7,000 plus tabs over the course of more than 2 years on Firefox. She called them this sort of memorabilia for all the things that she's been thinking about. But one day, all of Hazel's tabs suddenly closed out of nowhere. So then she posted about her sad moment on X, thinking that all was lost. As you can see here, it went viral. Well, thanks to the help of a few users who knew how to recover them, Hazel got them all back. The engineer updated all her followers that were invested in this tab saga. She said that she feels a part of her has been restored.
I'm glad she got them. First of all, what does that even look like?
I know. It must be a bunch of windows, right?
Right. I mean, my computer, if it has like 20, shuts down.
Right.
Like, it doesn't work anymore.
I totally agree.
All right. Good for her. We're happy for Hazel.
Yeah.
All right. Now for a look at fashion's biggest night, the Met Gala. Tonight, celebrities will take that stylish stroll up the steps of New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art, making glamorous entrances, serving their best looks for a celebration of the Costume Institute's upcoming exhibition.
It's always important to keep the theme in mind. This year, it is the Garden of Time. So joining us now with a preview is entertainment journalist, pop culture expert, friend of the show, Brian Balthazar. Brian, good morning. So great to see you. So let's talk through that theme.
He's in a garden.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Thank you. Come on. I was waiting. Someone going to say anything.
Is that why you're outside? I love it. Okay, tell us what you think about this theme and who are you excited to see?
Right. No, I didn't get locked out of my house. Yes, it's based on a 1962 short story called The Garden of Time, where a count and his wife are in this manor surrounded by crystal plants and flowers. And I think it's a great theme because it will obviously, if people follow the theme, and we could talk about that, involve a lot of florals, a lot of over-the-top kind of plant-like or magical, mystical, nature-inspired outfits. But as we all know, not everyone follows the theme. Sometimes someone just goes for the show. But I will say, Anna Wintour does approve every outfit that they go in on.
Oh, what?
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. She has to okay it. You do not put on a show without Anna giving it the okay.
I feel like I would want to know she approved it because the ramifications of going there and disappointing her would be
But every single
large.
guest, submits their look to her?
Well, if you are, say there are about 500, there have been between 500 and 800 guests. Now they try and keep it an intimate 500. And especially if you're one of these high-name people, and of course, if you're one of those 500, you are, and you're going to put on some sort of spectacle, then yes, there is. But definitely she does give the okay.
All right, so this year's star-studded host committee features a really big lineup. What can you tell us about that?
Right, we have Zendaya, Bad Bunny, J-Lo, Chris Hemsworth. And interestingly, they can be as involved or as not involved kind of as they want. Obviously, Anna is the final say on everything, but they will be there greeting guests and kind of being ambassadors to the event. But they can also give input as to the menu and things like that. But this is really Anna's moment, and she chooses very carefully those people who have had a great legacy of fashion at the Met Gala itself and in the world.
As we mentioned, this theme highlights what's going to come, this new exhibition from the Costume Institute. It's called Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion. It opens soon. Tell us what that looks like, and can anyone go see it?
Right, yes, absolutely. And it involves fashion that is so fragile that it can never be worn. You're going to see fashion that dates back hundreds of years, which speaks to the archive of the Met in of itself. And this event, in fact, that can raise between roughly sometimes $15 million to preserve iconic fashion and tell that fashion history over the years. But yes, the whole point is to get people to come to the Met, and this is one of only 4 days that the Met is closed. The others being holidays, actually.
Right. Brian, who are you looking forward to most?
Well, Rihanna says she's going to show up, but she says she's going to the dinner. The guest list is very, very guarded. We probably only hear a little trickling going out today. We do know, sorry, Savannah, Taylor's not going to make it. Sorry, but she'll be back. But Rihanna does put on a show, but I think this time when she says she's just going to the dinner, that's her way of saying that she's not going to do anything too huge. We've seen people like Lady Gaga do big productions, Blake Lively. I always like to see what Blake Lively's going to wear.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Was last year when she did that whole, Statue of Liberty kind of transformation? That was
there was one
so
where it changed colors. Yeah, I think that was last year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all a blur by the end of the night, really.
And on Taylor, that was sad because we thought maybe there was a chance that Taylor and Travis would do like a red carpet debut, and he's such a fashion guy, so that would have been.
What if Travis and Jason go?
That would be
like Jason Kelsey would have like a moment.
What's interesting is that you don't always get a +1. You have to be given. That person also has to be given an invitation. But come on, it's Taylor. You know, Kelsey would get his invitation.
Right. I feel, and he's like all over the place these days. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just he would go, right, Brian? Brian, remind us like what this is all about and for, and why we do this. It's always the first Monday in May, and I know that exhibition is coming up. But what's with the red carpet arrivals? What's with the putting on the show? And then what do they do once they go inside?
Well, okay, once they go inside, there is a receiving line in which the hosts that we told you about will receive them, and it is kept very quiet what goes on, but there is a delicious meal. Anna tries to make sure that the food is easy to eat, that isn't going to easily stain clothing, and that you can basically eat, very simply, that's not messy. And then entertainers will perform. Sometimes, one time it was Lady Gaga. Another time Rihanna performed, and it was, I believe, one of the most expensive performances, although we don't know the number that they've ever had. And then it's ultimately, this is all about creating buzz around the Met as a whole, but particularly the Costume Institute, which is really about preserving the history of fashion. But of course, what gets buzz and attention to a space more than a spectacle? Sometimes, and a really outlandish outfit can sometimes do that.
So no red beets. Yeah. I'm guessing no beet salad on the menu.
No, there's going to be no beet salad. I'm sure there's no beet soup, not crazy sauces. It is very interesting. And one year they served these like little lamb pot pies, and there was a big uproar and a lot of special requests because people were not having it. So they really do think it through for the course of the year.
How lamb for a 500-person dinner it's a risk.
Yeah.
That's a decision. I would have been asking for a different meal.
There's no fondue table. There's no fondue fountain this year.
That would be great. All these celebrities in these outfits, like dipping
Please
bread
help
and
your
cheese.
to the nachos dip. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Help yourself.
Brian Balthazar, thank you so much. We'll be watching. Enjoy. And now you can go back inside.
That'll do it for this. Well, he hasn't been locked out, right? Yeah. That'll do it for this hour of morning news now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, millions of Americans in the heartland are facing another round of severe weather. This after deadly floodwaters raged across Texas. Heavy rain turned roads into rivers, sweeping away cars and leaving people and pets stranded. We're tracking the new weather threat on the move this morning. Also this morning, a new warning from Israel. IDF forces dropping leaflets over Rafah, urging an estimated 100,000 civilians to flee. The move potentially signaling preparations for a ground invasion as hopes for a ceasefire begin to fade. Meanwhile, protest crackdowns continue on college campuses nationwide. The threat of disruptions now impacting graduation ceremonies. How schools are preparing. Plus, Donald Trump back in court this morning following emotional testimony from one of his former top aides, Hope Hicks. The new controversy facing the former president over comments at a private retreat with Republican donors as new polling shows the race for the White House up in the air. And the heart of rock and roll is still beating this morning. We are sitting down with music legend Huey Lewis to talk about the new Broadway musical featuring music from his decades-long career and proving it is always hip to be square. Looking forward to that conversation coming up in just a little bit.
Can't wait.
Good to have you with us on Monday this morning. At least 14 million people are under severe weather alerts in the plains and the Midwest.
Yeah, this is after a weekend of deadly storms and severe flooding inundated Texas. First responders were forced to rescue hundreds of people stranded in high water.
Priscilla Thompson is in Humble, Texas, where the massive cleanup is already underway.
Parts of Texas underwater this morning.
Oh, that was floating.
After a weekend of deadly flooding ravaged the southeastern part of the state. New video shows rescuers near Dallas desperately searching the high waters for 4-year-old Lucas Warren, who was swept away by raging waters. Tragically, the child was later found dead. Police in Houston using jet skis to pull a man and 3 dogs out of up to 8 feet of water. It was among the more than 500 rescues and evacuations in the Houston area in a matter of days.
We personally did close to 100 water evacuations.
as the relentless rain submerged homes and sunk cars.
The banks are full, the creeks are full, and it's got nowhere else to go.
Kingwood residents Erica Gines and Frank Courier say they barely made it out in time.
We started looking at the water levels rising, and we're like, yeah, we need to get out of here. And by the time we did, it was just coming too fast.
The couple saved by a high water vehicle, now returning home for the first time.
Oh my God. But it's just wild to see like how much like damage it does. Yeah. And that's overwhelming.
As the skies clear, the road to recovery begins.
What does rebuilding look like?
For these people, it's very difficult. These people might not be back in their homes for a year or two.
Our thanks to Priscilla Thompson for that report. For those in the flood zone, the threat is not over yet, with major river flooding expected to last the next few days. Let's bring in NBC News meteorologist Michelle Grossman with a look at what's in store for the week ahead.
Michelle, good morning. What are you tracking?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's going to be another busy week, especially today, tomorrow, Wednesday. We have a multi-day event for severe weather. Today's going to be volatile in many spots. You want to have your tornado plan in place, especially if you're in the plains, because we are looking at the potential for another severe weather outbreak. That includes a chance of strong tornadoes, long tracking tornadoes, softball-sized hail that's very damaging, and also winds gusting over 80 miles per hour. Back behind the system, we have high winds in the northern plains and northern high plains, and then we have some spring snow throughout the Cascades of Oregon into the Rockies as well. We could see up to a foot of snow in some spots, and also the green on the map showing where we have some rain falling. Also unsettled in the east still, the Tennessee Valley, parts of the Ohio Valley, the Carolinas as well could see some thunderstorms. So it's going to be an unsettled day for many of us, or an unsettled day for many of us. And as we go throughout Wednesday, severe storms into the Tennessee Valley, also the Ohio Valley, parts of the Great Lakes could see some rain as well. The snow continues throughout the Intermountain West, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then look at the south. Record highs from Texas along the Gulf Coast into the southeast. Temperatures soaring into the 90s. We have the chance for some showers in parts of the interior parts of the Northeast and also New England. Good news, we are going to finally dry it out in the middle of the country by Friday. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures not all that bad. Could see some rain and snow throughout the Rockies, warm throughout the Northwest, and we're looking at sunshine in the Southwest. But it's the East Coast on Friday that we'll see some rain and windy conditions from New England throughout the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, the Carolinas, into the Southeast. So this is what's happening right now on satellite and radar. You could see some lightning, hearing some thunder in the Tennessee Valley. That will move off to the east, but then we're going to start to see some severe storms developing throughout the plains later on this afternoon into the evening and overnight hours. Again, you see some blue on the map. That's where the snow is falling in the Intermountain West and the Rockies. This is what it looks like for today. 15 million people at risk for very strong storms. You need to be weather aware, especially this afternoon into the evening and overnight hours. Giant softball-sized hail, long tracking tornadoes, winds gusting up to 80 miles per hour, especially where you see that yellow, orange, and also red. Rain, that will be a problem, too. It's going to be coming down at 2 to 3 inches per hour, so heavy downpours. We're going to see training storms over the next couple of days as well. Flash flood risks, especially for Omaha, Kansas City, Tulsa, into Springfield. And then we're looking at a lot of rain. Where you see those brighter colors, that's where we're seeing the heaviest amounts of rain. And then, guys, we're looking at that severe weather threat Tuesday and also Wednesday.
Wow. Got to stay safe. Michelle, thank you so much.
Thanks.
The criminal hush money trial against former President Donald Trump is set to resume here in New York today. It comes after a high-profile witness took the stand, former top aide Hope Hicks. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson has the recap, plus more on the latest from Trump's campaign trail.
Hey there. It is some whiplash for the former president today, from a weekend with donors to a day at the defense table, with prosecutors set to go deeper into the case against Mr. Trump after tearful testimony from one of his former closest confidants riveted the courtroom.
Former President Trump heading back to court this morning following Friday's emotional testimony from one of Mr. Trump's former top aides, Hope Hicks.
We want hope.
Hicks, appearing under a subpoena, admitted she was nervous, later tearing up and taking a break to compose herself. Hicks also discussing the infamous Access Hollywood tape. Prosecutors say its release before the 2016 election helped propel the hush money scheme. Though Hicks said she was not engaged in negotiations, she testified Mr. Trump was, in fact, aware of the payments. The former president has denied allegations of affairs and pleaded not guilty. Mr. Trump Sunday making a stop at Miami's Formula One race with his own race for the White House in the spotlight. During a private meeting with GOP donors at his Mar-a-Lago estate Saturday, Mr. Trump comparing President Biden's administration to the Nazi secret police. According to audio obtained by NBC News, Mr. Trump accused Biden officials of running a Gestapo administration while venting about his legal troubles. The White House, in a statement, says the former president is echoing the appalling rhetoric of fascists. At that Mar-a-Lago retreat, a number of potential top VP contenders, including Senator Tim Scott, who voted to certify the 2020 election, but now repeatedly dodging when asked on Meet the Press whether he'd accept the results of the next election.
Just yes or no, will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you can ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
Now, it wasn't just Senator Scott making that trek to Mar-a-Lago. Some other potential vice presidential candidates included Senator Marco Rubio, Senator J.D. Vance, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik as well. But on the timing of it all, it doesn't sound like Mr. Trump will make a pick anytime soon. He has said he doesn't plan to do that until much closer to the Republican convention, which happens just over 2 months from now in Milwaukee. Back to you.
All right, Hallie, thank you so much. Well, now to the latest in the Middle East. Overnight, the Israeli army started telling people to evacuate parts of Rafah ahead of an expected military operation there, one that President Biden has warned against carrying out. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest from Jerusalem.
Ceasefire negotiations are back on this morning, and the CIA director is in the region trying to work out what would be an 11th hour deal. But Israel is now taking its first concrete steps, indicating that a major operation into Rafah in the Gaza Strip could be coming.
Palestinians in Gaza are being forced to move once again to get out of the way for new Israeli military operations against Hamas. This time, in an unprecedented move, they're being forced out of the city of Rafah along the Egyptian border, where more than 1 million Palestinians are taking shelter because they were told it would be safe there. The Israeli military used leaflets and text messages to tell Gazans to leave eastern Rafah because the military will be using significant force against terrorists in the area. The Israeli military estimates 100,000 people are affected. They're being instructed to go to another district on the Mediterranean coast, which Israel is designating as a not quite safe, but safer zone. President Biden has told Prime Minister Netanyahu he does not support a major offensive against Rafah because it's too packed with civilians. But Netanyahu says the Rafah operation must go ahead to root out Hamas. Ceasefire negotiations stalled over the weekend. Hamas says it wants a permanent ceasefire and for the Israeli military to pull out of Gaza. Netanyahu says any ceasefire would be temporary to free hostages in Gaza, but that the mission to destroy Hamas would then continue. Speaking to mark Holocaust Remembrance Day, Netanyahu said history has proven Israel can only count on itself for its safety.
If Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone.
This morning, Israelis stopped for 2 minutes of silence to remember the 6 million Jews butchered by the Nazis and their allies during World War II.
Palestinians are increasingly convinced that Israel will go ahead with a Rafah incursion and point to the fact that this weekend Israel closed the offices of Al Jazeera in this country and blocked the channel. They say Israel doesn't want live, continuous coverage of what may be coming. Israel said it closed Al Jazeera down because it had become a mouthpiece for Hamas.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Well, here in the States, police continue to clash with pro-Palestinian protesters across college campuses. The unrest is now threatening commencement ceremonies, with some schools, as we've been reporting, canceling the tradition in the name of safety. NBC News correspondent Maggie Bespa joins us from the University of Chicago with the latest. Maggie, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, and tensions escalating here again overnight. You might be able to make out the encampment behind me, although police are keeping us a ways back. Protesters overnight erecting a fence around their encampment here on campus, saying talks broke down, essentially, with the university. We also saw clashes here in Chicago over the weekend at DePaul University and the Art Institute, as well as several campuses, as you said, across the country, as this surge in college protests now collides with commencement season. This morning, amid mounting chaos on America's college campuses, another round of violent clashes between police and pro-Palestinian protesters. At the University of Virginia Saturday, officers in riot gear pushed demonstrators and sprayed them with what officials say is pepper spray. 25 were arrested, according to the university. Across the country, at the University of Southern California Sunday, close to 100 officers cleared a camp USC's president said protesters had rebuilt, adding areas of campus were blocked, people were harassed, and iconic Trojan symbols were defaced. This had to stop. These latest flashpoints following weeks of clashes at roughly 75 campuses nationwide, according to a count by NBC News. Arrests now topping 2,400 as demonstrators demand schools divest from Israel. Tensions rippling into the commencement season. Over the weekend at Northeastern, one ceremony was interrupted as a protester covered in fake blood stormed the stage before being taken away by security.
We respect your passion and your opinions. We respect your right to voice them in the appropriate setting.
And this morning, Columbia rethinking its commencement plans. While a final decision has not been made, a source at the university telling NBC News the main graduation ceremony is slated to be canceled. Two members of the student government saying it's due to security concerns. This after USC made the same call. New York's mayor pushing back.
And I don't think we should allow anything to get in our normal way of life.
And these protests clearly testing public officials here in Chicago as well. On Friday, the city's mayor and chief of police told reporters that they support and want to protect First Amendment rights to free speech, but added they're still monitoring this situation in case intervention is needed. And again, that situation changing again overnight. Savannah.
Maggie Vespa, thank you so much. Well, amidst all this, today is actually Holocaust Remembrance Day. And as part of commemorations during this period, President Biden is set to address anti-Semitism at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum tomorrow. His remarks come amid a sharp spike in anti-Semitism following this crisis in the Middle East and following the president breaking his silence to speak about these campus protests last week. Well, joining us now on what we can expect from the president is NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist. Aaron, good morning. Always great to see you. So what should we expect? What can you tell us about the president's address tomorrow?
Well, this is a speech that we know the president has been working on for some time now. It will be delivered as a part of the National Holocaust Museum, Memorial Museum's annual Days of Remembrance, something that the museum has been hosting since the early 80s, I believe it is. And so President Biden will follow in the footsteps of other presidents in addressing a gathering at the U.S. Capitol actually tomorrow. And he will talk about obviously the loss of so many lives, 6 million Jews all those years ago at the hands of the Nazis. He will lament that loss and talk about where that fits into the broader context of history and how we handle that reality today. He's also going to talk about what the White House has called a moral duty to address anti-Semitism in this country and around the world, for that matter. Obviously, we've been watching some of the protests that have been happening at college campuses around the country. We do expect that the president will address that as well, similar to the way he did last week. But I think the main thrust of what we're going to hear from him tomorrow, Savannah, is talking about the responsibility that every individual and every government entity has to combat anti-Semitism. And he'll also talk about the work that his administration has done since he announced his national strategy to counter anti-Semitism about a year ago, May of last year. And there have been several steps that the administration has taken since then, Savannah.
And Aaron, let's specifically talk about this chaos that we've seen on campus. What is the White House's ongoing message now regarding those demonstrations? And do you think we'll hear anything different, anything new about those particular events when the president makes his remarks?
I don't think we'll hear anything new necessarily. The president may address potentially any new initiatives that he may be trying to take. But I think the message that we'll hear from the president, as we heard last week, is that the administration, the president, supports the idea of demonstration, something that is a First Amendment right in this country. But he says, as he said last week, it is something that needs to be done peacefully. It's something that needs to be done at the right time and in the right place. And destroying property, breaking into buildings is not something he would support. I want you to hear just a portion of what the president had to say about this in the short remarks he gave on this issue last Thursday. Listen to this.
There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students. There is no place for hate speech or violence of any kind, whether it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination against Arab Americans or Palestinian Americans.
And so, Savannah, the president has recognized that there are passions about this issue, about what's happening in Gaza across the board. When we've gone to formal speeches the president has given on other topics, when we've gone to campaign events, there have been people in the crowd who stood up and protested what the administration has supported in terms of Israel's actions in Gaza. But the administration says that is something it supports, the idea that people will speak their minds, but it doesn't want to see violence as a result of people making those thoughts known, Savannah.
And Aaron, you laid out what the president is doing concretely at the top of this conversation. And we also know the House of Representatives recently passed what's being called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act to help enforce anti-discrimination laws. Are we expecting anything new, any future steps from the White House like that to address the rise in anti-Semitism?
So this law that's coming out of the House of Representatives that was passed last week would push the Department of Education to adopt a definition of anti-Semitism that is in line with international organizations in terms of how it starts to enforce rules around these issues of discrimination and such. And so the Senate has said that it's looking at that piece of legislation that passed in the House. The White House has said that it in principle supports the idea. There may be some tweaks to the language before we hear a final position from the White House on this, but it is likely that it could get through the Senate and to the president's desk, and he would likely sign it. At the same time, we are anticipating hearing what the president has to say tomorrow, Savannah, and whether he will announce any new initiatives. The White House has made clear that when it comes to what we're seeing on college campuses, a lot of the decisions that are being made in terms of how to interact with protesters, how to stop protests, how to clear camps, those are decisions that are for universities and colleges to make and local governments. But the president has said he will continue to speak out forcefully against violence as these demonstrations are happening. And obviously will continue to happen, certainly through the election, but until something more concrete happens in Gaza to help the Palestinians there.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist, thank you very much. We'll check in with you after those remarks. Well, coming up, countdown to liftoff after years of setbacks. Boeing's Starliner is set to take its first crewed mission to space today. That's not the only major space news, though. The all-civilian crew of SpaceX's Polaris Dawn joins us to talk about their historic voyage. That is all up next. Welcome back. Tonight, the country's eyes will be on Boeing. Its Starliner spaceship is set to launch, carrying astronauts for the first time after a series of engineering setbacks and delays. NBC News correspondent Tom Costello, of course, is at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida with the latest.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning. So this mission was supposed to be back in 2020, but Boeing has fallen years behind arch rival SpaceX due to some engineering missteps. And then, of course, some very close calls indeed. A similar problem we've seen play out with Boeing's commercial airliners as well. But this morning, the countdown is on for this high-stakes mission with astronauts on board a brand-new Boeing spaceship. Veteran astronauts and test pilots Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams will lift off at 10:34 p.m. Eastern Time. The Starliner spaceship, built by Boeing, right now sitting on top of an Atlas V rocket over at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. But Starliner is over budget and way overdue. During an uncrewed test flight back in 2019 that we were here for, suddenly they had to abort because the engineers had incorrectly programmed the clocks inside Starliner to be off by 11 hours. So Mission Control aborted and then later learned that the spaceship could have crashed into the space station. Last June, we had even more delays. Engineers discovered flammable tape inside the spaceship, and then they were concerned that the parachute straps might not hold as the space capsule came back down to Earth. The good news is, back in 2022, we did have a successful uncrewed Starliner mission to the space station with cargo. Both Williams and Wilmore insist they believe that the spaceship is safe, that it's ready to fly. NASA says it will never put astronauts on a ship that it's not absolutely confident in. This is a test flight. It's a shakedown mission to make sure that they are completely confident that this ship can join SpaceX in a rotation of taking astronauts up to the station. But 5 years ago, very few would have ever guessed that, in fact, upstart SpaceX would fly 11 crewed missions up to the space station before Boeing even got off the ground. So all eyes are on Boeing and on Starliner tonight. Again, 10:34 p.m. Eastern time. Joe and Savannah, back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. Well, we are going to stay with space news and with the story of another group that is headed to infinity and beyond to achieve the very first all-civilian spacewalk. The Polaris Dawn crew is set to embark on a 5-day mission launching this summer on SpaceX's Dragon X. Their goal is to fly higher than any Dragon mission to date and reach the highest Earth orbit ever flown. Today, we are getting to meet some of the team. Joining us now to discuss their upcoming mission is entrepreneur Jared Isaacman. He actually commissioned the mission. You are also its commander, and you are actually financing a series of these flights, as I understand it. And also joining us is Scott Petit. He is the mission pilot. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
Okay, so I have so many questions for you because I'm fascinated by the fact that, as I understand it, you both have plenty of flight experience. You both have been in all different types of aircraft up in the sky, are very experienced in that way. But this is not that. This is actually going to space, right? So first, just how is prep going?
It's going really well. I mean, we've been training for almost 2 years for this mission. As you mentioned, we have some pretty ambitious objectives. We're going farther into space than the last time humans walked on the moon more than 50 years ago. We're testing out a brand new spacesuit that maybe someday, some evolution of it could be used for humans walking on the moon or Mars. We've got a communication system we're testing over Starlink lasers, and we got a lot of science and research. It takes a long time to get ready, but we're getting close.
Scott, how are you feeling about flying?
I love flying. You know, it's good training that we utilize. We have fighter jets that allows us to work together, you know, build that trust, be in an environment where it's stressful, but it's manageable, and it prepares us for space. And so it's, you know, we not only fly fighter jets, we've done scuba diving training, we've climbed mountains, we do a lot of simulator training, nominal procedures, as well as get ready for contingencies.
Okay, neither of you seem like you scare easily, but I don't mean to freak you out or anything, but I have interviewed some NASA astronauts, one of whom, her name's Christina Cook. She's fabulous. She was part of the first all-female spacewalk. We talked a lot about what it takes for a spacewalk and the type of training that they did for months and months, not even knowing for sure that they were going to need to do one, just to be prepared in case. What is it like prepping for a spacewalk? I know you're doing some interesting things underwater, above water, using these different machines, but I mean, how are you feeling about actually like opening the door and going out there?
I think we're super excited. I mean, that has been the largest portion of our training for the last couple of years. I mean, you know, the capability to undertake a spacewalk has been limited to a couple of world superpowers. I mean, the U.S., Russia, and China as governments have figured this out. But we all need to understand this. If we're going to have thousands of people in space someday, walking on the moon, going to Mars and beyond, like this capability to get outside your vehicle and explore and build and repair, everyone needs to understand. So we've trained a lot for it. We've been underwater, as you mentioned. We've been hanging from the ceiling in these offloaders that replicate microgravity. And I think we're feeling pretty prepared.
And concurrent to our training, SpaceX has developed a suit for the very first time that is, it's phenomenal technology, and it's going to keep us safe.
Yeah, tell me more about the suit, because actually that's something else I talked with Christina about, is those suits for spacewalks. They're obviously very specific. So what's new here? How are you innovating on it?
It is a completely brand new suit. So like the suits that Christina wore that they have on the International Space Station, like their lineage goes back 4 decades. They work. No one's built a new suit in a long time because it's super hard. Because essentially it turns into a mini spacecraft. When we walk around and wear it, it looks like not a big deal. But when it's pressurized to keep us safe and healthy, it is very rigid. And you have to have joints all over the place just to be able to move around, to move your fingers. You need a visor to protect you from the sun. You need multiple paths of life support, of oxygen to get in to keep you alive and maintain, you know, thermal regulation in your body. There's a lot that goes into it. It's why it hasn't been done in a while, but we've had a front row seat for the last 2 years of SpaceX development of it. And this is a suit, again, that someday people could be wearing on the moon or Mars. It's pretty cool.
Scott, how different is piloting this than the other types of aircraft we've piloted?
You know, there's skill sets that definitely carry over. That's why we continue to fly fighter jets to this day to prepare us for this mission. But we all bring skill sets that are important for this mission. Sarah and Anna, our crew members, they're engineers for SpaceX. Sarah taught Jared how to be an astronaut. Now she has the opportunity to actually go into space, so she can bring all those that experience and teach in the future. And Anna, she has a background with NASA as well as SpaceX, and she was the technical advisor for Jared's Inspiration 4 mission. I've been very reliant upon them to train for this mission, and I'm just happy to be with this crew.
So cool. Very cool. We're pretty much out of time, but I do just want to ask, St. Jude's is involved here. Tell us about that.
Oh, absolutely. So St. Jude was an important part of my last mission, Inspiration 4, raised over $250 million for their important cause. And I mean, that's what this is about. You know, we want to build an exciting future for tomorrow that we can all be excited about. I mean, it's SpaceX's vision. The world's more interesting when people can journey among the stars. But St. Jude's got an important mission, right? That no child should die in the dawn of life. And we've got to build towards that important future for tomorrow and try and take care of some of the problems we have here on Earth as well.
And they do such incredible work there at St. Jude. Jared Isaacson, Scott Petit, good luck. Thank you for coming by. We'd love to talk to you after. Thanks for being here.
Sounds great. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Coming up, terrifying moments caught on camera. This was the scene at a church service after a man pulled a gun on the pastor. What that pastor is now saying about the close call and the parishioners who came to his rescue. Stay with us. Welcome back. We do want to warn you that this next story does have some disturbing footage. There was a scary scene at a church service in Pennsylvania when a man attempted to shoot a pastor.
The video shows the moment it all unfolded. The gun did not go off. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is here with more on this one. Emily, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Talk about a close call. What was supposed to be a quiet Sunday at church turned into chaos for a group of parishioners as a gunman walked up to the front pew and tried to fire his weapon directly at the pastor. We should warn our viewers. Some may find these images disturbing.
Enemies to God.
A Sunday afternoon church service dramatically interrupted.
And God had chose.
The terrifying incident at Jesus' Dwelling Place Church in North Braddock, Pennsylvania, unfolding on a live stream, showing a gunman identified by police as 26-year-old Bernard Jr. Polite approached Pastor Glenn Germany and attempted to shoot, but the gun didn't go off.
It clicked. You heard him shoot it. It clicked. So God jammed the gun so that the bullet didn't come out.
The deacon, sitting just feet away, leapt into action.
The man had his back turned towards me, and I could see he would never see me coming.
Both men wrestling the weapon from the gunman's hands. In the church at the time, 25 congregation members, including the pastor's daughter.
He stood up and he smiled at me, and it was just a smile.
The pastor actually speaking with the gunman.
He said, look, spirits was in my mind. He said that they got in my mind and they told me come in and shoot the pastor. He actually apologized to me. I told him, I forgive you and I want you to know I love you.
What could have been a devastating tragedy at this small community church, now considered a small miracle.
God had his hands on the pastor. He wasn't letting him go nowhere.
So, Emily, tell us, what else are we learning about the suspect?
So the pastor indicated that he had never seen the gunman before until this incident and that he had been going in and out of the church. Now that gunman faces a number of charges, including aggravated assault, attempted homicide, reckless endangerment. And our Pittsburgh affiliate is reporting that later that night, police have been actually called to a home where the gunman had been living. It's within a mile of the church. They discovered a body, so we're waiting for more details to be released on that. I should also note that we did try to seek out legal representation for the suspect, but we weren't able to identify anyone.
All right. Emily, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Well, time for some very special guests now, because today is the first day of National Teacher Appreciation Week.
It is a time to recognize teachers and educators and the hard work and sacrifice they make to their students throughout the year. A Tennessee teacher was recently named 2024 National Teacher of the Year. She was honored with a state dinner at the White House last week, along with fellow educators in the field.
We are joined this morning by the 2024 National Teacher of the Year, Missy Testerman. She's a kindergarten through 8th grade English as a second language teacher. We are also joined by Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona. Good morning to both of you. Great to have you with us. Missy, I will start with you. First of all, congratulations on the honor. Congratulations on the dinner. That sounds fabulous. Tell us, what does being Teacher of the Year mean to you, and what have these last few weeks been like?
Thank you, Savannah. Being named the 2024 National Teacher of the Year is just an immense honor. There are 3.5 million teachers all across this country working hard to prepare our students for futures every single day, and I am thrilled to get to be the one who was able to advocate for them this year.
Secretary Cardona, this recognition comes from the Council of Chief State School Officers. There's so many great educators out there. How on earth do they pick the person who gets this prestigious honor?
Yes. Well, first of all, happy Teacher Appreciation Week and congratulations to Missy. CCSSO does a great job interviewing teachers from across the country, looking for those qualities that we know elevate our profession and elevate our country. And Missy was the one selected this year, and she's a great representative for the best profession there is.
Missy, as you mentioned, you were honored alongside fellow teachers at the White House with this state dinner. President Biden, along with First Lady Jill Biden, were there. Tell us about that experience.
Savannah, it was an amazing experience, not only to be in the White House, which is such a symbol of freedom for our country that's recognized all around the world, but to be able to enjoy that moment with all of my fellow state teachers of the year from all across the country was just amazing. It was a beautiful evening where teachers felt celebrated and nurtured for all the things that they do to invest in our children's lives each and every day.
Secretary Cardona, this is actually the first time a state dinner was held to honor teachers. I mean, these types of events, they're traditionally held when heads of state visit the White House. Why in this situation did you do this? How did this change come to fruition?
Well, look, as you mentioned, typically state dinners are held for heads of states, kings and queens. Who better than teachers to elevate, to say we see you, we recognize you. And thanks to the Bidens who really wanted to make sure that this year we lifted up what it means to celebrate our teachers, not only those who were selected to represent their states and Missy, but the teachers across the country.
Secretary Cardona, if you don't mind, while I have you, we would like to ask you about this year's the college admissions issues that we've seen, all those issues with the FAFSA process. Where do things stand on rectifying that situation at this point? I mean, I know, of course, as you're aware, families have been anxious about whether their loved ones are able to go to their college of their choice. It's delayed students being able to make that big, all-important college decision. What is the latest there?
Right. Thank you for asking. We're almost at 9 million processed applications. Colleges have the information, they've had the information and are making offers now. I've spoken to college presidents and chancellors who've already sent out letters to families. There was a delay this year. There was an overhaul of the entire system that was over 40 years old. We're proud to say that if a student applies today, within 1 to 3 days, their college will have the information and is able to process letters. So we're glad to see that that's moving, and we hope not only this year, but for years ahead, more and more students will have access to federal aid.
Missy, over the years, you have seen the amazing things the teachers can accomplish, the challenges they face as well. Right now, what do you see as the biggest challenges for teachers in and out of the classroom, and what do you think is the best way to address those challenges?
Thank you, Joe. Right now, the biggest challenge I feel like facing America's schools is that we have a mental health crisis that can range from anxiety and depression in our middle school and high school students all the way down to our youngest students who often arrive with an inability to regulate their behavior. Obviously, that is something that needs to continue to be addressed. It was addressed through the use of ESSER funds previously, but that is something that is really vitally important is getting counselors, mental health professionals into our schools, because we know that students with mental health issues are more likely to be served in a school setting than outside of the school setting. Also, at the same time, we need to elevate pay for our teachers who are professionals. We need to pay them a living wage that is aligned to the professional work that they do each and every day. It is hard to retain teachers when they are able to go out into another career field and make more money to take care of their families. So I feel like those are two things that need to be addressed as we move this country forward.
They are such good points, and that mental health crisis is something we've talked extensively, actually, with Secretary Cardona about. Teacher of the Year, Missy Testerman, congratulations on the honor. Secretary Cardona, always great to see you. Thank you both for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, coming up, it's been 20 years since one of the most watched TV finales of all time.
We're taking a look back at the last one and the friends who were always there for you next.
We're back with some financial headlines, and it looks like some big moves are in the works at Paramount.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning. Yes, so Paramount has reportedly agreed to start buyout talks with a group led by Sony Pictures and private equity firm Apollo Global. An exclusive window with production company Skydance Media expired Friday. Last week, the Sony Group reportedly made a $26 billion offer for Paramount. The New York Times says Paramount's controlling shareholder, Shari Redstone, prefers Skydance because it would face fewer regulatory issues. Former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz is criticizing the coffee giant, saying it needs to renew focus. Starbucks reported disappointing earnings last week, and in a post on LinkedIn, Schultz says the company should start by fixing its U.S. business, which he says was the, quote, primary reason for the company's fall from grace. Starbucks hasn't commented, but its current CEO said last week he's mounting a turnaround, including speeding up service during morning hours to meet customer demand. And Sony reversing course on requiring players of its new game, Helldivers 2, to link their Stream and PlayStation Network accounts. The company walking back the policy following a weekend of backlash, including tens of thousands of negative reviews leading to the game being delisted in 177 countries. Helldivers 2 has been one of the most popular games this year thanks to its unique approach of live storylines, guys.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Now to the one that turns 20. If you try to remember what you were doing 20 years ago tonight, odds are good you were watching the series finale of Friends. The final episode, called The Last One, was the fourth most watched finale in TV history. And while it was an ending, 20 years later, the friendship endures. It was like the Super Bowl of sitcoms.
The next baby should be along in a minute.
Monica and Chandler got a surprise delivery.
We only ordered one.
As fans anxiously waited to see if Ross and Rachel would end up more than friends.
We were incredibly nervous because we so wanted to get it right.
Show creators David Crane and Marta Kaufman wrote the final episode.
Did you get off the plane? Did you get off the plane?
I got off the plane.
They knew Ross and Rachel would finally end up together. It was just figuring out how.
When it gets to that moment when she says, I got off the plane, I cried.
Then we did our job right.
Yeah. Smelly cats.
Over 10 seasons, America befriended all 6 characters.
Could I be more sorry?
Oh.
Embracing their quirky catchphrases.
How you doing?
I know.
We were on a break.
Relishing their moving moments.
Pivot! Pivot!
All of it building to the last episode, the 236th of the series, which was watched by 52.5 million Americans. Back in 2004, the cast told Today how hard it was to say goodbye.
It's just all so unbelievably surreal. And yeah, it will be hard.
We hate talking about it. We hate thinking about it.
Matthew Perry, who died last year, talked about the finale in his 2022 memoir. Before that final episode had taken Marta Kaufman to one side, he wrote, "Nobody else will care about this except me," I said, "so may I please have the last line. Could there be anyone else?"
Okay, should we get some coffee?
Sure. Where? Looking back now, how poignant does that feel?
It's incredibly poignant. It's a legacy for him, one of his many legacies. But that moment.
One of many moments still cherished by fans 20 years after that purple door closed for the last time. Friends found a whole new generation of fans when it hit streaming, first on Netflix, now on Max. Kaufman says a while back, one of her daughter's friends initially thought it was a new show set in the 90s, a period piece, if you will. Perhaps a testament to how some of the themes are still pretty
Oh
timeless.
my gosh, that is pretty funny.
I know. No.
What a great look
We
back.
made that
How
a while
fun is
ago.
that?
I
Yeah.
know.
Isn't it fun? Don't you love being a New Yorker when you talk about Friends?
Right,
Yeah.
all the things, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up, our curtain call is taking us back in time.
We are sitting down with producer-writer Jonathan Abrams and the one and only Huey Lewis to talk about their new Broadway musical, The Heart of Rock and Roll. That's up next. Welcome back. Rev up those engines. You know I love Formula One, and Britain's Lando Norris just scored his very first Formula One win at yesterday's sold-out Miami Grand Prix. It was full speed ahead for the racer who beat out world champion Max Verstappen by 7 seconds, which is actually quite a lot in Formula One. Norris celebrated with a well-deserved champagne pop and a celebratory dive into his crew, who just adore him. Well, here's the thing. I guess you could say I helped him prepare. Just last summer, I gave Norris a little run for his money by taking him on in a 3-lap race at a go-kart track in New Jersey, our friends over at RPM. Unfortunately, he did beat me. I will say, though, I held the lead for a little while, and he did also say that I should be in Formula One, which I never let people forget. Now, he may or may not have also given me a little head start. That's not really the point, though. Lando, we love you. Congratulations. Joe, you know I'm so excited.
Did he beat you by 7 seconds?
Actually, it was only by like 2 or 3.
See, so you would have won yesterday.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
I love that math.
All right,
Thanks.
I like that. Thank you, Savannah. Finally, we're ending the hour with a curtain call, your front row seat to Broadway and beyond. And this morning, we are taking you to one of the newest musicals on Broadway, The Heart of Rock and Roll. It is a jukebox musical featuring the songs of Huey Lewis and the News. The plot is not about the band, rather, the show uses their music to tell a fictional story set, of course, in the 80s, about a couple of 20-somethings chasing their dreams. And naturally, it features many, many hits, including Do You Believe in Love, This Is It, and Hip to Be Square. And we are so lucky to be joined this morning by the Huey Lewis. We're going to call this Huey Lewis on the News, along with Jonathan Abrams, who wrote the book for the show. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Great to be here.
Huey, what does it mean for you, this sort of new chapter, to have these songs that we have loved for decades now on a Broadway stage in this musical?
Well, it's wonderful. I mean, it's a lovely gift, you know. It's particularly gratifying to see these songs have this other life, you know, and be used in this other way. You feel kind of proud of your songs like they were children or something, you know. So it's been a lot of fun.
You know, some people don't know this, but you revealed a few years ago that because of an inner ear syndrome, you've lost a lot of your hearing, which means you're not able to play music. What has this process of being able to do the musical meant for you?
Well, that's true. I mean, it was 7 years ago I lost my hearing, and you know, it was devastating for 6 months. I spent 6 months in bed, really, and, you know, lost weight and worried and tried all kinds of protocol. But the show has really been a salvation for me. It's given me something to be creative with and to stay busy and frankly, take my mind off my crappy hearing.
Jonathan, what has it been like for you to work with Huey on this?
Well, growing up, Huey Lewis was my musical idol. And so the opportunity just to meet him, which was the, you know, origins of this, I just wanted a meeting with Huey Lewis to pitch him my story of how I could take his songs and fashion them into a story. And now to be here a decade later, friends, you know, colleagues, it's a dream come true.
That's the thing, too, about jukebox musicals is, you know, the music is written, the lyrics are there. So the fun, but also the challenge is you have to try and find a story with those lyrics to tie them all together. How does that process work?
That process works by writing down all the lyrics to your songs, pasting them on note cards on my wall, and then finding words that popped out at me, recurring themes, working. Hip, power, love, heart. And then you put all those together.
You forgot soul.
And soul. You put them all together, and suddenly a story starts to emerge.
And by the way, I think that's a little too simple. John, the book is the key to our show because it's funny. And John is a great writer, and it's funny. And it was funny from day one. And, you know, funny is kind of harder to do than dark sometimes. You got to be smart to be funny. And John is, from day one, his very first draft was fantastic. and we're now, what, 9 drafts later or something?
I think I checked. It's actually 62 drafts.
62 drafts, my goodness. Is that how many drafts of your songs were there usually?
Well, we did a few.
One of the interesting conversations I think you had is what songs go in the show, because you had to make tough choices to cut a popular song or two, but at the same time, there were some songs that maybe a lot of folks weren't super familiar with that you told him, no, this should be in the show, even if you were skeptical, right?
Well, no, this is John and our producer, Tyler Mitchell, who know the music really well, and they know the early stuff. And so it was their idea to take kind of a deep dive in some of these songs. And interestingly, certain songs emerge in our show as being the favorites, and there were songs that hardly anybody ever heard. Give Me the Keys, The Only One. These are highlights of our show that most people have, the record didn't sell at all.
And for you, it was just like, no, these songs need to go in. They help the story.
It was always about what was best for the story. And Huey was so gracious in saying, okay, well, if Heart and Soul doesn't make sense in the story, then we're not going to use it, even though it was a big hit. Conversely, The Only One, maybe not a big hit, but it worked so well for the story we needed to tell. And he said, okay, try it.
And I love for the audience, maybe they're experiencing some of these songs for the first time, which is great. This is not your first dance with Broadway. You actually played Billy Flynn on Chicago many years ago. What was that experience like? How does this compare?
Well, that experience was amazing. I was Billy Flynn, number 31. I told them they should have had numbers on the tuxedo. But I didn't know from Broadway growing up. I'm a rock and roller, and I thought, But I was offered the part, and my son was going to NYU at the time, and I visited my kid. I said, let's just go see the show. We went to see it. I fell in love with it. I thought to myself, if I don't try to do this, I'll never forgive myself. So I accepted and fell in love with everything that is Broadway. The talent, the people. It's really the people, isn't it? And the collaborative nature of it all makes it really a wonderful experience.
I love that you were number 31, because the show's still on Broadway right now, so I don't even know how many Billy Flynns they must be on right now.
They must be in their 50s by now.
Exactly. 62? Yeah, 62, just like the drafts. There you go. Overall, I mean, I love the fact that when you even just read the reviews for the show, they're just telling folks, you are going to go and you are going to have fun. And we need that. There's amazing shows on Broadway right now, but some of them get very serious. Some of them can be a little dark. What is it you want people to know about seeing this show?
Well, it's fun and funny. And, the show will not change your life, but it will change your evening. And that's really what we're after. We're after a wonderful evening. And Lord knows with the news that you read today, couldn't we all use 2.5 hours of entertainment?
Absolutely. Jonathan, what do you hope folks take away from the show?
I'll tell you a story. So 2 weeks ago at the show, I saw a family there, grandma, mom, and son and his son. So 4 generations in one family all saw the show together, age 5 to 94. And they all had a great time, and they found me afterwards because they learned that I wrote the thing. And they told me we had a wonderful time together as a family, and I was so overwhelmed by that.
Something everyone in the family can have in common is their love of Huey Lewis. We love you guys, too. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You can catch The Heart in Rock and Roll playing now at the James Earl Jones Theater in Manhattan. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.